KHOU 11 News at 6 starts now.
An unexpected visit at the border in the middle of heavy rain and flooding. Today, First Lady Melania Trump stopped in McAllen to see firsthand where some undocumented children are being held.
And her visit is causing some controversy. Marcelino Benito is live in McAllen with more for us tonight. Marcelino?
Guys, we're told the First Lady made this decision on her own. She was not sent here by the president. We're told she wanted to take a look for herself at what was happening here on the ground in McAllen. It was a surprise visit that no one saw coming. First Lady Melania Trump arrived in McAllen as torrential rains fell. Mrs. Trump wanted to tour children's shelters along the border. The first stop was set to be the McAllen Border Patrol Processing Center, the place where we've seen families separated and kept in chain link style cages. But major flooding made it impossible for the motorcade to get there. Instead, it drove through flooded streets to Upbring New Hope Children's Center, where the First Lady was briefed on how immigrant children are being cared for.
How many times they speak with their relatives or families per week, for example?
Well, the children are allowed to communicate with their family twice a week. They get a 10-minute phone call.
After a brief roundtable, the First Lady toured New Hope, a shelter that currently houses 55 children, mostly Guatemalan and unaccompanied minors. Only 6 of them separated from their parents after crossing the border. Mrs. Trump stressed families must be reunited.
I'd like to ask you how I can help to these children to reunite with their families as quickly as possible.
The First Lady then went behind closed doors to sit down with the children.
She took the tour. She met with children in 3 different classrooms. They talked, they counted, they sang. Oh, the children were all smiles. You know, it's interesting. They know who she is, but yet it's kind of a little bit of a foreign thing to them.
Kurt Sensky is CEO of Upbring and says the children arrive here after 72 hours at the detention center. Employees here try to make the children feel like home.
Great beds and clothes and games and videos and movies. It would be providing them with charter school education, so English as a second language.
A spokeswoman for the First Lady says she wanted to see everything for herself. She's been incredibly moved by the images of family separations, supports family reunifications, and will continue to do whatever she can in her role to make it a reality.
Everybody would agree that a family situation is best for any child, whether they're American or not American.
Now, there are still a lot of unanswered questions about how specifically families will be reunited. I can tell you I reached out to Border Patrol again multiple times today. A spokesman getting back to me saying they are still waiting on specific instructions from leadership in Washington. Len?
Quite a process with so many children involved, Marcelino. A lot of people talking about the jacket the First Lady was wearing today in Texas. What is the White House saying about it?
Well, Len, that is now an infamous jacket. Let me show it to you. It's a $39 Zara jacket, and she was wearing it as she boarded her plane to Texas, and it says, "I really don't care, do you," on the back. Her spokeswoman saying it's just a jacket, that there is no hidden message behind it. And tonight, you can expect the president chiming in as well. He's tweeted about it, and he says that the jacket actually refers to the fake news media, writing, "Melania has learned how dishonest they are, and she truly no longer cares." Now, we should mention the First Lady was only wearing it when she boarded that plane to come to Texas. She did not wear it on the ground in McAllen, but she did have it on once she landed again in Washington this evening. Len?
Nice of her to visit regardless. Marcelino, thank you. Tomorrow, Senators Ted Cruz and John Cornyn will be heading to the border, and we will be there too with updates from Marcelino on air and on KHOU.com.
Houston's mayor is calling on a government contractor and its landlord to abandon plans to build a shelter for unaccompanied migrant children. Mayor Sylvester Turner says immigration policies and practices are still in limbo, and it's hard to approve the shelter when they don't know who will be staying there. A spokesman for the contractor, Southwest Key, says they have the necessary city permits to transform the old Star of Hope building near downtown and are just waiting on a state license. That spokesman pointed out other local religious nonprofits also house separated migrant children.
I asked each one of the high-level executives, Mr. Sanchez and the other 2, are you in agreement with this policy? Do you think this policy is fair, immoral, unjust? And they refused to answer that question. So when you start wrong, it's very difficult to get right.
KHOU 11 News reached out to the landlord, but we are still waiting to hear back.
Tonight, the jury deliberating the fate of Terry Thompson, the man seen here. He's accused in the chokehold death of John Hernandez outside a Denny's restaurant last year. Matt Doherty has been covering the trial. Any news from the courtroom?
No, not yet, Lynn. The judge says she's going to let this jury deliberate for as long as they need tonight. So far, it's been a little more than 2 hours. Now, they're going to have to select from one of several charges if they determine Terry Thompson is guilty of killing John Hernandez. If not, they can let Thompson leave a free man tonight. But if they believe Thompson is responsible, here's what jurors must agree on, beyond a reasonable doubt. One, that Terry Thompson intended to cause the death of John Hernandez with a strangulation hold while applying pressure to his neck while Thompson's body weight is on John Hernandez. Thompson's attorney says his client was only restraining Hernandez, waiting for more help to come.
It looks like somebody's scared. It looks like somebody's fearful. It looks like somebody's looking for help and waiting for the police and hoping they get there real quick. So take your hand from around his throat. Get your arm off of his neck. Let him breathe.
Family members and supporters of John Hernandez gathered on the 17th floor before court began this morning. They formed a circle, sang Our Fathers and Hail Marys, praying for justice. However, the trial ended unexpectedly quickly for them. When we spoke with them yesterday, they did not anticipate the defense resting, not calling a single witness. Now, Thompson could spend the rest of his life in prison if he is convicted. We are on a verdict watch tonight. Look for updates in our later newscast. Also online on KHOU.com. But for now, we're live in downtown. Standing for Houston, Matt Doherty, KHOU 11 News.
And now to the weather. Some residents say yesterday's rainfall might not have been much, but it was enough to make some streets in Bear Creek Village impassable. They are concerned about what future storms might do if just a little rainfall did this. This is a flood-prone neighborhood in the Addicks watershed decimated by Harvey. The Harris County Flood Control District says crews are removing debris from 3 creeks. But promising news for them tonight because it looks like we're drying out.
Yes, and also heating up. But the rain is over, so it's very good news for neighborhoods like Bear Creek Village.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the heat. So now that the radar is quieting down, we're going to see a ridge of high pressure building in, and that's going to send us into the mid-90s and those feels-like temps into the low 100s. This afternoon, this evening, we've got rain in South Texas continuing, but for us, it's partly to mostly cloudy skies. It's very muggy outside. Temperature, 88 at Houston, 90 in the Woodlands. Factoring the humidity, it feels like it's about 100 degrees right now. This evening, we'll see 85 degrees at 7 o'clock and then cooling very slowly to about 79 by 1 a.m. But fog could develop later on tonight with this extremely humid environment and breaks in the clouds, allowing the heating of the day to escape into space. Coming up on this first day of summer, we'll talk about when summer really takes hold across the eastern 2/3 of the U.S., including right here in Texas.
We know it's coming. All right, Brooks, we'll see you in a bit.